I'm gonna go first. All right, we are just about getting ready here. This is the YouTube version right there, and there you can see there's a delay of a few minutes.
Oh yeah, right.
So there, that's me. I'm coming in now. All right. So what we will do is here's the chat. So
Okay.
what you want to do is do you want to get the chat link? And because here's the deal, if we go to our video, this is us live here now.
Okay.
So we're like 5 seconds ahead of everyone else.
Can you move this, love?
Yes.
Okay, and I've got to put my
Mic myself up here.
mic on as well.
Shazam. We're like 2 minutes ahead of schedule.
Good.
What do you think about that?
Okay, I have to leave this up.
I got my coffee. You got your. May I have a little bit of that later? If I have a sip of it now. Just a tiny bit.
I'm just gonna do it like this.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave you with that. I think we got this.
Okay.
1 minute early.
All right.
How good is that?
Okay. Well, let's just use it too.
So let's ask everyone how we sound.
Yeah, let's do a sound check.
I'm thinking the sound we were told by one of the members in here is that the sound was good.
Good.
Right there is what it says. Sounds good.
Okay. Now, did you send me a link to?
No, I did not. Can you go? Actually, I can send you a link through through your messages here. So check this out. There's you.
We're not reading the chat yet. We will in a sec. We just want to make sure we have everything set up on our end.
You will have the link on your computer.
Okay.
Look at the thumbnail.
But I have to say, I'm really excited that we have a good chat. We have a proper working chat. This is
eight
be fun.
People watching now.
It's gonna be fun.
So this is a huge crowd.
It's a private party.
Good chat.
Oh, okay,
Right,
good.
Kill your sound.
We got it. Okay, hold on. I'm really happy this is working.
So what you need to do though is you have to access the. Oh, look at that.
I do my pop-out chat.
That's way better. All right, I want to
Can
kill.
you move this for me?
I will. Oh yeah, okay.
I
I'll
need
move it.
this.
So look, can I just? I want to. I don't want to go onto this window. You can look at that window if you want. This is us live. That's the chat. So we'll look at that on your screen. How's about that?
Yeah.
And the only other thing I want to do is pull up my notes. So I'll just
Me too.
mention everyone.
Guess we're officially starting. It's 7.
It is 7
You
o'clock.
want to
That's
pull out your notes,
unbelievable.
and then we'll.
I'm pulling up the notes that we're going to be working off of. And let's just change the view. I thought I had this available, to be honest, but there we go.
It's really humid here.
All right, I'm going to keep this. So check this out. Look at that.
Perfect.
All right,
Okay,
we're good.
great.
And you've got the chat there.
Okay, so let's just say hi to everybody.
Hello and welcome. This is members only, Richard Dolan members only live stream AMA. Ask Me Anything. And you absolutely can do that. We'll just let you know, Tracy's got a few things she wants to jump into, but in preparation for this, one thing that we like to do is go through emails that we get from members of the site, and they do build up. We did an AMA a month ago, and since that time, a number of you have written to us through the email feature, and I just went through those in the last hour and a half, collecting, the genuine questions and putting them onto a list. And I'm going to do my best to answer those already. So that's through email. But if you've got something that comes to you now and you want to ask it, put it in the chat.
You can put it in the chat because we can scroll up and down.
We've got that right here in front of us. Tracy's got it, and I can look at it. And we will absolutely. I see Ted there. Hello, Ted. We've got at least one of your questions I got from your email. I'll be addressing that. And Kiakra,
who I know is from Ireland. We've been chatting back and forth a little bit in our emails.
So
and
Jim Crowell,
Domi, Metastrange. You've been around for some time
familiar
as a member.
Names.
Yeah, 70s Dave. It's great to have you guys.
All right, wonderful. So do you want to jump in, my love? And you have we have some very good announcements to make. So why don't you just start?
Okay. Well, I just want to go through some housekeeping on some things, because even though it's a small group of us here, people are going to be watching this later, and so there's just some things I want to get through. So obviously we're trying a new format with video chat, so hopefully this goes really well. So far, this is a huge improvement over what we were doing
Just
before.
so you know, when we tried doing members only live stream before, it was a technical nightmare.
Yeah, it was
not fun. It was not fun. There was one that was so bad we weren't able to do it. We had to record it and then upload it because we were not able to do it live. And some of you may remember. We've figured out a much better system, and I think this is how we'll want to do this in the future.
Yeah, this is great. So there's that. Keep an eye out for a welcome email, because we've sort of been hinting at getting a newsletter going.
Yes.
And this was a suggestion of some of the members, that people wanted a weekly summary of what's been posted during the week. So I've been working on the back end with some people to try and get this going. And we have it almost set. So you're going to probably get a welcome email from us first, probably in the next week. And because all of the members, this will be a feature, you're automatically subscribed to the newsletter, which is once a week, as a part of your membership.
It'll arrive in your email. If you don't want to be part of the newsletter, you can always unsubscribe, of course. But we thought it'd be just an easy thing just to let every member have a copy to get the newsletter. You may want to check your spam filters. Is that?
Yep.
Did you want to get
spam, just in case it lands in there. This will happen over the next week. And it will invite you to put in some preferences. And all that is if you want to, there's sort of 5 check boxes of, what your favorite things are. If you like all of the things that Richard offers, then check them all. But
UFOs,
like
politics,
some people
false
are
flags.
more into false flags and they're not really into UFOs. And so that's why we did it, just to sort of get a gauge of where everybody was. Another thing is, if you unsubscribe from that, of course, it will not unsubscribe you from your membership. That's just for the notifications.
Yeah, right.
For every week.
I just want to mention this newsletter. I mean, I've seen the prototypes of it now. Tracy has been working on this. This has not been easy. Like you'd think, oh yeah, easy thing, send a newsletter. Not easy. This woman here has thrown herself into it for really like a month.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, there's so many other things we need to work on, and so
But
you can't work on
making
it
it
all the
happen.
time. But RSS is kind of getting old as for a feed, and it's something that we want to make a part of this. So anyway,
It's going to be. I think I have a feeling it's actually going to be very attractive and very informative.
Yeah.
On a weekly basis. So that's kind of a nice thing.
Yeah, I think it will be good.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to keep coming back to the site.
Right.
You can come back, but you'll be up to date on everything. And it will also allow us to send announcements to you. So if we do a last minute AMA, which, sometimes we could do that, we could push out an email to you and let you know, hey, 24 hours and we're doing, whoever's around, we're going to do an AMA.
We do want to schedule these AMAs on a regular basis, and we will be doing that. Ted writes, you guys are doing great on your tech. Maybe you can help Whitley. He needs some help. Whitley does. We love Whitley Strieber.
Yeah.
I've been a friend of his for years, and maybe we can ask around and see if.
See, I thought Whitley was sort of the veteran in this. I didn't know what was going on with his stuff, but I was thought
it's
him
hard.
He's got a newsletter. He's got stuff going. I thought he had it kind of going on.
He had Anne for years. That was the thing.
Oh,
and she's not there anymore, and it's really rough on him.
Yeah.
He's having a hard time. Okay. What's
okay.
next on there?
Okay. If you can't get into the membership site, we've had this happen with a few people. Sometimes, I don't know why, but you will have to re-enter your credentials. So it's just the way it is. And I want to make sure everybody knows where the login is, because sometimes people ask. If you're on your computer, it's along the main tabs. I just moved it. So there's the welcome tab, and now it's right beside it, member login. The other thing I want you guys to know is that underneath that is login support. Login support is there, and that was a member suggestion as well. In case you can't get in, you can access us. Some of you have found other ways to access us, but that's just an easy way. You don't have to be logged in to get through there. So I just want people to know about that. So sometimes you got to put in your credentials again, and unfortunately, we can't do anything about that. Yes, the Richard Dolan show, the radio show. We have a new format. So let Richard tell you about that. It's cool.
Yeah, I'm very happy about this. So
it's good for members. It's great for members.
For 6 years, 7 years now, I've done the Richard Dolan show through KGRA Radio. Still affiliated with KGRA. I'm not leaving them, but I am changing the fundamental structure. So I've done a 2-hour show. I'm continuing to do a 2-hour show, but from now on, and actually starting this last week with my interview with Andrew Johnson, first hour goes live to the public and will go live and will be posted onto my YouTube channel. Second hour will be reserved only for members of this site, and that's just my decision. It's our decision. I think it's just it's the right time to do it. I want to continue to give content to the world, but I want something special for members of what we're creating here. And I think this is a very good way to do it. And I feel very good about that. So from now on, you will see Richard Dolan show. I'll have parts 1 and 2 put up on the site, but part 2 will always be exclusive for members of our site. So that's it.
So that's one thing you can expect every week. There'll be an hour podcast, and it will be the exception if there is not a special members hour podcast. And we'll still do all the other regular stuff, the off and
all of that. Blog posts, things that I want to write, special things that I'm always wanting to do. That will continue, of course. But this will be a new feature of the site. It's just hour 2 of the Richard Dolan show is always now an exclusive thing for members of our site. That's it.
Yep.
Next.
It's something I know about. I just want you guys to know the ads are a little crazy on the welcome page, and I haven't been able to rein them in. That will be fixed soon.
Yeah, we wanted to do as we thought, look, we'll make a little bit of extra cash on this.
We didn't turn that on. We didn't actually do that.
Oh, is that what it was?
It just happened.
I just assumed.
And we couldn't get them off. So we have someone scheduled to help us with that. So
either remove them or clean them up.
Yeah,
make them less obnoxious.
We realize, it's very obnoxious right now. We apologize for that, and we are getting that fixed.
Oh, we didn't really. I had no memory of like how that happened. So there you go. Perennially out of it in certain ways.
Okay, I just wanted to address one other thing, because sometimes I see a comment about this. So people will say, why are my comments in moderation? You know, why does it say my comments are in moderation? Like, I will be honest, right now we have 20 in moderation.
I just approved them all.
Okay, but what I want everyone to know about this is it's a good thing, because if we just auto approved, we would miss a whole bunch. But what we do instead is we don't allow ourselves to approve them without reading them. So the fact that they're in the queue like that just means that we haven't had the time, but we want to read every word. We don't have time to respond to every single one, but we do our best, and that is the only reason why they sit in moderation, because we are demanding of ourselves to read them.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, Tracy. Just please understand, we want to have a little bit of policing control anyway. You never really know. It hasn't happened that people want to either hijack a forum or just become obnoxious in one way or the other. We've been lucky in that way. I'm very happy. But it's still something that I want to reserve. You know, years of managing my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, taught me, got to police the wall. And I don't want to lose sight of that on our side as well. It's been very, very good, but we like to retain that ability just to moderate. So if it does happen occasionally, it might be a day or two before we get to it, but just hang on there. If it's a reasonable comment, you can be assured that it will be approved and it'll go up there.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of one that hasn't been approved.
No,
unless
that's
it's
true.
Spam. Like, we do get spam that comes up on the free pages, and that's mostly what we have to patrol for. But some people have said, like, should I be posting all this stuff? Because sometimes there isn't a response to it. But the answer is yes, because there are always new members coming in, and generally speaking, the people who are here, the members, are super thoughtful about their answers, and so we love seeing the things that you're putting up there. So please, just because they're in moderation or because we haven't got to them or we haven't responded, we really encourage you to post there. And sometimes other people will post on your post and there'll be something going. But
all right.
So we just wanted to mention that.
Is that it, or?
No.
Good. Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. You were quite efficient about that. So I want to jump into some of your questions, if we can. And I'm seeing them coming up, and wonder if I should just jump into this right now. Jim Crowell
Yeah.
writes, I've been reading a great deal about the Roswell crash or crashes. I am witnesses discovering now how many of the so-called witnesses have been debunked. What's your take on Roswell? I'm not sure about how many witnesses have been debunked. There have been witnesses over the years that have been questioned and debunked. There was the famous case of Gerald Anderson way back in the early 90s who claimed to have stumbled onto, this is going way back, or I think his one of his relatives had stumbled onto an archaeological dig. Oh, he was a child. This is what it was. The plains of San Agustin in New Mexico, and it was a big, big thing that they supposedly stumbled onto evidence of a crash of a UFO, and he was debunked, at least by Kevin Randall and a lot of other people who were convinced that he wasn't for real. Who else was debunked? I don't know. Maybe a couple of people might have been.
Since it's such a small chat, Jim, do you have anybody in mind that you're thinking about, or just in general?
If you can. Anyway, my general take on Roswell is that something extraordinary happened there. I mean, I'm open to be corrected on this, but at this point, I feel pretty strong to say that something very important happened there that required a great deal of press management, control over the event, to the extent of even publicly almost humiliating Major Captain Jesse Marcel, making the claim that all he found was a weather balloon. He didn't just find a weather balloon. It wasn't simply a mogul balloon apparatus either, in my view. I think the argument for that is super weak. So something important was recovered there. There's enough of a reason to argue that there was something even extraterrestrial there. There's a lot of, I wrote about this extensively in volume 2 of UFOs in the National Security State. And not trying to sell a book here, but I would encourage you to check into it if you're really inclined. What I argue in that book, one of the things I describe is how the argument for crash retrievals developed during the 1970s. Not just Stanton Friedman, everyone knows about Stanton, but Leonard Stringfield was really the key guy, the researcher who collected dozens and then scores of crash retrieval stories from witnesses over the years. Not all of them are about Roswell, although we did have a Roswell connection, but just the large number of individuals that he did fairly detailed interviews and analyses with, who talked about what Stringfield called the crash retrieval syndrome. So I think that there's a very good case here, and I think Roswell is by no means the only crash retrieval of a UFO, but I think it's one. I do think it's an important one. That's my quick take on Roswell. You know what I want to do? I've got this mouse. I want to use this to scroll down for the questions.
Okay.
I want to jump into one of our members is named Eddie. Eddie, we love you. He provides us with a tremendous amount of information, and I haven't yet properly thanked him. Is this working now? I'm trying to get my mouse to work, and it's actually not working. Oh, it's not on. That's why. I'm going to turn it on. There we go. All right. Forgive the glitches here. Eddie had a question about QAnon. And every time we do our live stream publicly on YouTube, there's always a lot of QAnon inquiries. People really want to know about this. First thing I want to say is I'm not a QAnon expert. I'm interested in some of it. Tracy and I have both looked into QAnon to some extent. And I will say that I find QAnon to be very sophisticated. Now, having said that, let me read Eddie's point here, and then I'm going to give you my take on it. And I may do a follow-up on QAnon this Saturday from my public live stream on UFOs, the big picture. Still thinking about this. Anyway, Eddie posted something that's actually made the rounds. Michael Sala, a lot of you know who Michael is. He's another UFO researcher. He's been talking about QAnon quite a bit lately. Apparently, QAnon, if you're not familiar, basically started posting on the site 4chan back in October 2017, and appears, just by the nature of the posts, to be an insider with the Trump administration, who is talking about essentially a takedown of the deep state and the deep state machinations against Trump as QAnon sees it. And that's interesting enough, and has gotten a lot of people very, very interested in that. So then, according to Sala's writing, there are photos and postings such as Trump's office on Air Force One and inside the Oval Room that Q has posted, which support the idea that QAnon is actually military intel working within the White House to leak information that helps to promote the Trump agenda and to counteract the deep state leaks and so forth. One question posted to Q dealt with Roswell and whether humans are alone. The reply was no, and the phrase highest classification seemingly to refer to Roswell. So Sala believes that this is the beginning of efforts for kind of disclosure and government secrecy, and maybe Q himself is behind this, and so forth. So basically, I think, I assume Eddie just wants to know what's my take on this. So I'm very interested in that. Like, I haven't really investigated that yet, but I'm going to. And one thing that I can say, and I'm just going to say to members here, is one of our associates, very astute researcher, I'm just going to leave it at that for right now, has done some Google reverse image searches, at least of one particular image supposedly put out by Q of, I think it might have been Air Force One.
It was.
Yeah. And discovered that this was actually a 3-year-old publicly known photograph of Air Force One that was in the public domain from
taken
some
by
news
a journalist.
by a journalist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, if that's true, and I believe that this is true, then we have some serious questions about actually what's going on here. All right. One thing that, and I would encourage any of you who are listening right now, if you want to do this with me in advance of Saturday, I want to do a series of reverse image searches of Q images that are posted on 4chan or anywhere, and to see if there are antecedents in the public domain. I mean, you'd think that if that were the case, some smart researcher would have discovered that by now.
Yeah.
But I don't know if everyone is in the habit of doing reverse image searches. I mean, to me,
I think a lot of people don't know.
It's a fundamental feature of good research these days. The capability to do reverse image searches has existed since 2011 when Google brought the feature in. And in fact, there was a predecessor to this from back in 2008 that I didn't know about at the time. And I can't remember the name of it, but I wrote about it in this book, UFOs of the 21st Century Mind, in my chapter on basically being a good armchair researcher. I just can't remember the name of it.
Why don't you tell all the members, I'm sure a lot of them know how to do this, but for those who don't, why don't you just tell them how to do it?
Well, very quickly, you can Google reverse image search if you really want to do it. But essentially what it means is when you go to the Google search bar, all right, there's one thing where you click images. So if you go to Google's search engine, click images from google.com, and that will take you to image search. And what you'll do is, if there's a particular image you want to search, the thing you have to do before that actually is, like, if there's something you want to search, click that image and download it to your computer. Download it to your Mac or your PC or whatever. Then you go to Google image search feature, and you can drag that into the search bar. There's actually a little icon of a camera in the search bar, and you can click that, and that will allow you to open a file, and you can select the file, that JPEG file you just downloaded. And it will then search for all examples of that image file anywhere they exist on the web. Yeah, it is amazing. And you can even then check the dates of those images and so forth. So it's a key investigative tool, particularly like for the UFO field. You know, there's all these UFO images that people claim. A lot of them are just ripped from earlier sites. Anyway, this is something that I'm going to try to do before Saturday. It's not like I have a whole lot of time to do it. We've got things to do, but I want to do this
No, we don't.
Friday. Is really tomorrow's the only day that I'll have to do this.
I know.
I'm going to try. But if anyone out there wants to give it a shot, do it and email us. Seriously, I would like to know. My take, though, is I'm becoming a little bit more suspicious of Q for this reason. I'm becoming a little more suspicious. So if it turns out that Q, they're commenting.
Keep going.
That, Wilcock, yeah, we'll get into this.
Yeah.
If it turns out that Q is using some public images as supposed inside information, we got to be very suspicious. And in fact, it did come to us from our researcher friend who's looked into this a bit, actually, that a few of the things that Q has claimed Trump took from him, like tweets and comments that Trump supposedly later tweeted, actually was given deceptively by Q. The timestamp was deceptive, and that Trump actually tweeted them first, and then Q took those and made it seem like he said it before Trump. Now, I haven't investigated this, but again, I think I trust our researcher on this. We're going to look into it. So there's things that Q is doing that are suspicious and seem wrong. So now the question here from Domi, I've heard Jimmy Church mention that Q made a reference to a David Wilcock book. I find this quite ... curious. Yeah, me too. So the real rumor out there is apparently Jimmy asked David about this recently. Is David Wilcock himself behind the Q phenomenon? And Wilcock said, "Look, no, I wouldn't know how to do it, and I don't have the time to do it," or something like that.
Yeah, you're saying that we can believe.
And actually, I do believe that.
Time to do it. Yeah.
Like I would be personally shocked if David Wilcock were behind the Q phenomenon. I would almost give a tip of my hat. Like, that's an impressive feat. Even for someone who says his IQ is 170, which Wilcock has said like multiple times, which no, it isn't. Sorry, it's not 170. Anyway, the point is that would be an amazing thing. But I actually believe David in this one, where if he says, look, I don't have time, doing the research in that would be a major undertaking for anyone. It would be I would have to think it's a full-time undertaking. Someone's doing it though. And 70s Dave thinks Q is BS, or maybe Q is Trump. I don't think Q is Trump. That's too much work for the president of the United States, especially one who's spending all his time doing tweets. I would be surprised personally.
Yeah, I just want to throw into about what Domi said. I would love to see all of the people who were mentioned in the books, because I know it wasn't just David Wilcock, right? It was a whole bunch of other books too. I know Ramtha was even in there. I think one of.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Wow. I need to be absolutely certain about that, but I am pretty sure that's true. So it just makes me wonder what the whole list was of books. We haven't looked into that, so just something I'm curious about.
So yeah, I think we're going to come back to Q. I think we'll do a Q live stream in 2 days, and I better get my shit together for that. So if anyone wants to help out with some research, I'll definitely give you props when I go live. Otherwise, I'll just have to do this by my lonesome.
Ted says David Wilcock couldn't pull it off.
I think it would be difficult. I honestly do. All right, let's move on, if you don't mind.
Yeah, just to go back, Jim was just saying he wasn't able to respond when we asked him who was he talking about in regards to Roswell, and he was thinking of Joseph Farrell regarding witness debunking.
I'll have to see what Joseph said about that.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us know. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Let me move on. So this is a question from Matt. This is through email. I'm just going to go into this. Matt just, I'm going to truncate this. He says, I'm wondering if you have or are looking closer at the work and life of Milton William Cooper, Bill Cooper. I have, and Matt just goes on. He says, I was always under the impression that he was a dangerous, racist, Nazi-sympathizing right-wing extremist. I've come to discover, and I'm still in the process of learning, that isn't the case. And he just mentions a lot of people are smeared as extreme right-wingers. You get this a lot, especially today. It did happen with Cooper back in the 90s. It was true. Cooper was a little bit unhinged. And I wrote about Cooper. I spent, I don't know, at least 5 pages on him in volume 2 of UFOs in the National Security State. It's I've got it on the shelf. I can't really grab it right now, but I will say this about Cooper. And if you don't know, so Cooper comes to the scene in UFOs in the late 80s when we developed this new thing called the internet and all the bulletin boards. It wasn't a web, but there were news groups. And it was an absolute revolution in our society, of course, but also it was a revolution in the UFO field. Because what happened in 1986 and then 87 and 88, when Usenet exploded, it was the first version of the internet. For the first time in history, you could sit behind your computer, type things out, and post it, and thousands of people would read it, and you didn't need a publisher. You didn't need editorial guidelines. None of that. This was a completely new thing in human history. You just type and post, and boom, and there it goes. And what it did for the field of UFOs is it just exploded. It exploded. John Lear and Bill Cooper were the two guys who really, more than anything else, exploded ufology in 1987 and 88. Cooper started out as he was former Navy and former, he was in the military twice, I think Air Force. And got to be known initially as a Navy UFO witness, and watched very credibly described a UFO coming out of the water with his shipmates. And people were like, wow, this is a new witness. But then Cooper really got into all of the stuff that John Lear was talking about, deep conspiracies, cover-ups. And here's my take on Bill Cooper. I think the best analysis that I have ever read on Cooper was, and I wrote about this in my book in volume 2, was done by UFO researcher Don Ecker. Don's still around. He has a show on KGRA, and I know Don personally. Don knew Cooper personally. Don really very closely studied Bill Cooper. And one thing that I would say about Cooper is that he took John Lear's stuff that Lear had just put out and basically acquired it for himself as if he were the source for it. And I don't really know how much to believe Cooper. I think he actually had the ability to believe his own bullshit. So one thing that Cooper did is he, is there an audio issue there?
No, I was just making sure it didn't look like it was in all the way.
70s Dave asked, wasn't Cooper killed shortly
Yeah,
after 9/11? He was. I'll get to that. But basically, Cooper, like, I'll just mention the whole Kennedy assassination connection to Cooper. All right. There's a guy named Lars something. I wrote about him.
It will come back.
He was a Netherlands filmmaker, documentary guy in the 80s who was doing a documentary on the Kennedy assassination. Back then, he was using like 5th generation Zapruder film, looked like shit, but that's all he had available to him. And for his resolution, it looked like the driver shot Kennedy. And indeed, it did, like the way that because his resolution was so bad. So he was exploring that. He knew that John Lear was interested in some far-out fringe theories. He knew that John Lear was the son of a famous aviator named William Lear, who was in the Aviation Hall of Fame, inventor of the Lear jet. And he assumed John Lear had some money. And then so he sent a copy of his documentary to Lear, hoping to get some funding for this project. Well, Lear's like, no, I don't really want to fund this. But Lear was in touch with Cooper at this time and sent Cooper this huge care package of information, including this VHS that this guy was from the Netherlands was doing on the Kennedy assassination. And Cooper, from that point, this is an amazing thing, starts talking about how he had been briefed back in the military on the Kennedy assassination and how he knew the driver killed Kennedy. He gets this directly from Lear, pretends that it was something that he was briefed on in the military. Okay, so that's just complete bullshit.
Yeah,
Lear, and there was a lot more, by the way. It wasn't just the Kennedy thing. It was the Krill document. If anyone's really into UFO arcana, the O.H. Krill document is another thing that Lear gave Cooper. Essentially, O.H. Krill was a document that talked about deep inside conspiracy stuff out of Area 51 and aliens being out of Area 51 and so forth. Lear got this document from a fellow named John Grace, who went by the pen name Val Valerian. You can look it all up. Anyway, Lear himself penned the title of the document, O.H. Krill. And he gave this also to Cooper at the same time he gave him the Kennedy stuff.
Okay.
Cooper also said, yes, I was briefed on this Krill document while I was in the military. That's also a lie. Like, no, John Lear mailed it to you. So Cooper, in my opinion, had this, and I think he may have believed his own delusions. I didn't ever know Bill Cooper. But I do know that he was spouting a lot of bullshit and claiming credit for things that were not his to claim credit for. Now, there's one thing about Cooper that I'm always going to give him credit for. He was the first person involved in our field, as far as I can tell, who went seriously deep in looking at the behind-the-scenes cover-up of what's going on. So he talked about the so-called Jason group. There is such a group as the Jasons. I don't know if they're really the key. He did talk about MJ-12. Of course, he did that once MJ-12 was leaked out in 1987. But what I will say about Cooper is that he, and I think he was correct to do this, brought in a kind of deeper analysis of the UFO cover-up. You know, before Cooper in the 1980s and 70s, researchers were still laboring on under this idea that, yeah, the federal government and the president and the military are really running this whole thing. And I think Cooper really started this whole tendency to go past that. And I personally think that he was right to do that. But there's one case that I read about this, and I've never asked John Lear if this is true. And I don't think John Lear is particularly well these days. But early on in all of this, Cooper's doing interviews, and Lear apparently was present at one of them. And after they were done, Lear says, Bill, you know that the O.H. Krill document, like, you know that I gave it the title for that. You know that I sent this to you. And according to Lear, Cooper, who was always, like, often carrying a gun and was known to drink and was known to be scary when he drank, like, all of this is true about him. And he was a big guy. And Lear is not a big guy. So Cooper got very, very big and menacing and said, like, who the hell do you think you are? You're a CIA agent. Screw you. And all of this. And Lear was like, okay, never mind, buddy. So that's a bit of Cooper. Now, you don't really get that there's one YouTube video of Cooper's that's out there, and he doesn't come across that way. But privately, behind the scenes, I think he was, you know, not that way. So.
Interesting.
You know what occurs to me? This is another thing about Cooper.
Hi, Drew. Thanks for joining.
Oh, hey, Drew.
We just saw you came in.
Drew's here. Yes. All right, Drew.
We have a little party going.
I've got a couple of your questions coming up, so just hang on. Last thing I'm going to say about Cooper, I just realized this. Here in Rochester, an old friend of mine, deceased, named Bill Sherwood, was the Rochester UFO guy for years. Bill ran a UFO study group. Bill had an amazing video collection. And
he's got amazing documents, too.
Because
I have seen them.
Oh, yeah. Well, correspondence.
They're in our basement.
In a protected file cabinet. They're safe. But Bill had some VHSs, and including lectures by Cooper that I don't think are on YouTube. So what I think there's at least one or two. So the key will be getting them.
Said?
Yeah.
Do we have VHS?
No.
I think you can take stuff these days to places and give them the VHS and then give it back in digital format.
Get them as MP4s.
Yeah. If
I can do that, I'm going to upload.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
Down.
All right. Let's make a note of it.
Yes.
Little side project. All right. That's it for Cooper. Done with that. Let's move on. Do you realize, like, we are not doing pretty well with our time?
Okay, I want to tell people something interesting. And again, this is just from Eddie. I know we already talked about Eddie, but this is just kind of fun for everybody because we were talking about Skinwalker Ranch and we watched that. And we did not watch the credits. And Eddie brought this up saying, that some of the best parts were in the credits. I think he said there were 17 minutes of George Knapp.
Did we not watch the credits?
No, we didn't. Or the extras. Sorry, the extras.
Yeah, the extras. I don't think we saw the extras.
So to any of you who rented it, if you did, he's saying there's actually some really cool stuff. With, they had the current owner and they had him sort of masked out and his voice changed. And You know, it left a lot of questions about what's going on there now, and it's very intriguing, you know. So he said there's a longer interview with that guy, I think 10 minutes, and then an extra 17 minutes with George Knapp that are really interesting. They were bleeping out his words, and
Okay.
you know, so just wanted to mention that, because if anybody is planning on watching it, check out the credits and let us know.
I thought it was very good. I noticed in the YouTube comments below my interview with Jeremy Corbell, there were some people who were very disappointed by the Skinwalker documentary, and I just was scratching my head. I don't get that. Excuse me. I thought it was very good. And I don't know what more people want. I mean, I would say George Knapp's stuff that was from the 1990s is what really made that documentary incredible. Jeremy is a very excellent filmmaker, but the stuff that George was doing in the 90s that was included there was incredible. How could anyone not find that interesting is beyond me.
Is the DIA still doing research there? Do we know?
Yes, well, I don't know if it's a DIA or some other group, but there's absolutely major military intelligence out at the Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah. I got this from Jeremy directly. And in fact, if I'll just mention, I think this is on our YouTube interview. Unless he told me off the record, but there's definite concern about this place as a portal.
You guys talked about a lot of stuff off record, so.
Well, they're like, as in other words, like the sky opening up and things coming through. And like this, of course, was mentioned in the Skinwalker documentary, so that's not. But in the sense of getting military attention, I mean, if you're the U.S. military and this is actually happening, you want to know, like, what is this? Is this a security concern? And in Jeremy's understanding, I would say he's put himself into a good position to know this. The answer is yes, they're very interested and they're monitoring this. So that's part of that whole thing.
Okay, I just want to say what Drew's saying, because Drew, I totally agree with you. He said it was his comment. You know, he had kind of a negative comment. I think the issue is that it didn't really add anything that I didn't already know. And I thought he could have pushed further on the scientific physics side of it, explain what they had been doing. And I agree. They could have gone further with that stuff.
Okay.
And they kind of, it was a little bit disappointing with that for sure. But I thought there was a lot of other really good stuff to legitimize, at least seemingly, what's going on there. But yeah, I think they could have taken it further. So maybe they'll do a part 2 where they reveal more of what they were really doing.
It's totally possible, because this is an ongoing investigation. That's clear. All right, how about can we move on?
Yeah.
All right, so Ted, who's live with us, but Ted, I have one of your emails, and I'm just going to go for it. He says, Richard, I'm curious about your opinion on Donald Trump. Get this all the time, but let's go there. Not as a human being, as I'm sure we both agree he's a miserable example, but as an outlier who was accidentally elected president and his relationship with the government status quo. I love the way you put that. Yeah, look, I'm sure that I would find him as annoying as most people do, except I've said this one thing, like narcissists, I've dealt with them. It's like, fine, you know, as long as you're not doing anything against me, I don't really necessarily care. Dudes from Queens, I get that. I'm from Brooklyn. I understand that type of personality. I mean, I really have to say this. I grew up with trash talkers. They don't really offend me per se. But having said that, he does sound like he's 12 years old. He has hissy fits all the time. It's like, stop. You're supposed to be president of the United States. Have a little bit of dignity for a change. Please. Yes, I agree with that. It's an embarrassment. And this is why some people hate him. But they're hating him for the wrong reasons. And I have to say this again and again and again, and I will not stop saying it. So the whole point about Trump as an outlier, I do believe that he was accidental. I don't think he expected to be elected. Did we just mention this on our live stream? I think we did. Mention Bill Burns.
Yes,
talking to us about
we did.
It. So if you know who Bill Burns is, or William Burns, he's been in the UFO field a long time, publisher of UFO magazine. And I know Bill personally. I've known him for years. And Bill said to us less than a year ago.
Yeah, we were doing an Ancient Aliens shoot in New York,
and
we ran into him.
He was there. So he's chatting with us for like 10 minutes. And he's likes to talk. And he's like, I talked to Trump in 2015. I think it was 2015.
Yeah, I'm laughing.
And there's a few of us around him. And he's talking about running for president. And someone's like, why the hell would you want to run for president? What a hassle that would be. And according to Bill Burns, Trump said, I'm going to do it. It will increase my brand. He wasn't expecting to win, according to that conversation. He's like, yeah, I'm just going to increase my brand. And then, of course, what happened in 2016 is he's going against these completely worthless Republican suits who are going up against him. I mean, Jeb Bush, are you serious? Marco Rubio, the man's a robot. Who the hell? You're not going to lose against Rubio. These people are completely useless politicians. So here's Trump, trash talking, and the thing about him, this is why he actually won. And you may hate him. Be my guest. But no one, not Bernie Sanders, not Hillary Clinton, not anyone, was actually talking about working class issues. I'm sorry, but it's true. No one was talking about the scooping out of the entire middle class due to globalization. He was, all right? You don't have to like him, but he was doing it. Ralph Nader's had the exact same platform 20 years earlier, and he did it from the left. And by the way, I was very much into Nader in the late 90s. And he ran in 2000, of course. And a lot of people are still mad that they say he cost Al Gore the election because he won Oregon. And if Gore had won Oregon, Gore would have beaten George W. Bush and whatever. But listen, Ralph Nader was a greater man than Gore or Bush. And so he's allowed to win Oregon. And I say don't give him grief over that. So that was his thing. Globalization is destroying the American middle class and working class. It was true. It was true, in my opinion. And so here comes Trump 20 years later. He's hitting the same refrain, not as a left progressive, but as a nationalist. Okay, so what? Anyway, people resonated with that because no one else was talking to them. And Hillary Clinton called them deplorables. I mean, what do you want? So he wins the election. So this put him outside of the mainstream. The other thing that Trump did that put him outside the establishment, and again, this must be recognized, is he put himself against the globalist establishment in terms of U.S. neocon policies. There's no other candidate in American history who actually talked about disbanding NATO. Trump did. Now, all right, he didn't stay with that, and he didn't, he got attacked by the establishment media, but good grief, he actually mentioned this. I'm like, holy shit, yes. Why is NATO here? The Soviet Union disbanded the Warsaw Pact 25 years ago, so NATO has no need. There was no justification for NATO to exist. And Trump, so what he did, and he attacked all the wars, the endless wars that the United States has started. So what Trump did as a candidate is he put himself in direct opposition to the fundamentals of U.S. empire globalist strategy. All right, that's an incredible thing. That's why, like, could you imagine what if left progressives, let's say Ralph Nader had won, all right, in 2000, like actually beaten out Gore, beaten out Bush, and had won the election, and like Trump, put himself at odds with the establishment media, the establishment neocon, war-making policymakers, and the CIA, which similarly was after Trump. Nader would be the hero of left progressives for the rest of all time. And yet here's Trump basically coming at it from the right, we're told. And he could cure cancer tomorrow and they would hate him just as much as they do now. So it's like, wow, I'm just astonished at looking at all of this. So I think Trump did not expect to win. And it shows because he's had the absolute most shit transition to the presidency that has probably ever happened in modern times. He had like surrounded himself by the neocons who would have been on Hillary Clinton's team, and showed that he was not up to the task of dealing with the deep state. There is a deep state. They exist, and they have done everything possible to stop Trump's programs in his track. And he has not, like, he's been, maybe his business dealings, he was very good at that, the art of the deal, all of that. He's not up to these guys. They have totally shown they are way better at this game than he is. So one thing he's good at doing, though, is playing to his base and and playing to his own version of the media. Twitter, he's showing the establishment media to be a joke, which it is. And so he could very well get reelected. Like, he could easily get reelected to the shock of the left, but I could easily see it happen. But he will not be able to defeat the deep state. I seriously doubt it. Now, if he's playing 4D chess and he's 20 moves ahead, more power to him. We'll see if that happens. I just doubt it. That's my take on Trump. Okay, onward.
If you want to see, just for fun, these guys are having a fun conversation.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Do you think his constant eating of McDonald's is affecting his mental capacity? Like, seriously? Yeah, it can't be good for you. If he's eating Mickey D's all the time, bad. That means you're poisoning your body, and that affects the mind. Absolutely. Look, the thing is, like Reagan, you know, you get elected, you're this old, you're in your 70s. It's very difficult to be on the top of your game. Like, I gotta think. It requires energy. It's like a great chess player. They all decline after a certain age because it requires tremendous concentration. Being president's got to require a huge amount of concentration and energy. So if you're eating shit food, then yeah, like, it actually could. And in Trump's case, like, it's very clear to me that he needs someone to be able to manage him, like manage him publicly, because he's not doing a good job of this, like, at all. Yeah. At all. He's harming himself in so many ways. All right, anyway. 70s Dave correctly says all the neocons supported Hillary. Yeah, and look, and I used to joke, and I still will say, Hillary is Dick Cheney. She just wears a pantsuit. She's the same person. She is Dick Cheney. It's the exact same global neocon policy. They call her a liberal interventionist. Like, there's no difference between that and being a neocon. None, really. I mean, the only difference, if you go to Wikipedia and look this up, like, seriously, the neocons don't give a shit about international law, and liberal interventionists try, like, they'll still bomb a country into oblivion. They'll just try to get the UN to back them up on it a little bit more. Like, they'll try to round up international agreement, which is a smarter policy. This is why Obama and Hillary were able to destroy Libya and make it look like NATO did it and the UN did it, when they in fact did it, along with crazy John McCain, who was like front row center on that. Whereas with Bush's team in Iraq, they basically held the UN in disdain. They were like, screw all that. That's classic neocon. But there's really no difference fundamentally. The liberal interventionists, of which Hillary Clinton is a prime example, they're just as bloody-minded. They kill just as many people. They're just as reprehensible. They just are a little bit better at putting the veneer of international legality on what they do. That's the only difference. There is no other difference.
I like Domi's comment.
What's
what
that?
if Trump is just another shadow on Plato's cave's wall?
Yeah, well, aren't we all?
Yeah.
Aren't we all? Yes. Okay, shall we go on?
Yeah.
So this is, Jim. Okay. I don't know if it's Jim from live chat right now. I can't remember. I only use first names
I think
on
it
this,
is.
but it might be. If it is, then fabulous. Jim says, hi, Richard and Tracy. I've been reading histories of the CIA and also watching your interview with Catherine Fitz. Question regarding the $21 trillion that have gone missing in accounting of the Pentagon over the last 20 years. Would it be possible, in addition to their setting up front and dummy companies, that they put their money in charities? It's a gruesome thought and especially despicable if it's true, since a charity is nonprofit and only has to use 10% of its monies to the charity's intended purpose. I actually didn't know that. Like, only 10%. Wow. Has anyone looked into this as a researcher for Black project funding or for hiding money? Yes, Catherine Austin Fitz has looked into this exact sort of thing. I think looking into foundations, same type of thing. Foundations are a definite way for elites who want to hide their money and keep it away from taxation and so forth. They'll put it into foundations. And of course, foundations are a great way to influence public policy on all kinds of things. So that's one key thing that they do. Charities, as distinct from foundations, I would say it's a really interesting thought and would be a very good
we could talk
direction
to Catherine
for
about
research.
It next time we talk to her.
Yeah, I'm going to talk. I talk to Catherine on a regular basis, And I can say this much. Catherine and Professor Mark Skidmore, I think I keep forgetting where Mark teaches. I think Indiana State University. They have been in the news this year for this story of $21 trillion. It was Mark Skidmore and his grad students who really did a kind of audit of the Pentagon over the past 2 decades, and of HUD, Housing Urban Development. I know both of them. I've talked to Mark Skidmore. I'll just say this, and I've talked quite at length to Catherine. And she's doing like little speculations here and there, wondering where might this money have gone? Is there clandestine infrastructure out there or down below underground? And what might such an infrastructure cost? And all we're doing is just like having little conversations kind of off the record about this. But this is something that I am looking into. And so I'm interested in that question. I do think that there's a lot of money, like I think in off the grid infrastructure, underground or out beyond Earth orbit, could be very expensive indeed. And it's just an interesting kind of speculation to ask, like, how much would it cost? How much would it cost? And is that where some of the money's gone? But I have to say, I have not looked into the connection to charities. But I mean, one thing, is that money laundering is a very, very important business in this world. Think about narcotics trafficking. It's one of the top, probably one of the top 5, top 10 industries in the world. Let's say top 10 to be safe. And it's illegal, but it's huge. It's like up there with oil and making cars. I mean, it's like up there. But just because it's illegal doesn't mean no one wants the money. Everyone wants that money. So the question is, how does it work its way into our global financial economy just because it's illegal? Well, the answer is through money laundering and through major financial institutions. So banks launder the money. I had a conversation with Catherine about this years ago. The fact is that banks will take a cut because, like, if you're a Mexican drug dealer and you've got $100 million, you need to be cleaned up so you can use it. How do you do that? Banks are out there looking for your business. They'll say, we'll launder your money. We'll just take a 5% financing fee. So, like, everyone wins in this. So the question is, who is making their money laundering money? Well, probably all the major financial institutions are, and they've got accountants who are very good at hiding this kind of shenanigans. The fact is that someone's got to be laundering the money. By ipso facto, there must be, because the money is there. It's in our economy and it's being used. So it's got to be laundered. And we're talking trillions of dollars just there alone. So there's this huge amount of, it's not just banks that launder money. I think Catherine believes government and state bodies in the US and elsewhere launder money too. It's a huge thing. And this is probably the single biggest reason why drugs will remain illegal. It has nothing to do with moral issues. That's for the little people to argue about. Like in South Park, drugs are bad. Okay, that's the whole thing. Drugs are bad, Mr. Mackey. South Park fan here. But that's what the little people have to worry about. The big people, they're going to keep it illegal because they're making a lot of money. A lot of money on this. Not just police officers on the take or street corner pushers, but banks and intelligence agencies and everyone else who gets to wet their beak on this.
I know I've mentioned this before, but that always makes me think of the Dutch banker.
Ronald Bernard.
Was that his name?
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of his sort of interviews and testimony. And because he was one of the people who was allegedly a top banker, and he talks about sort of his involvement with pushing money around at such a high level. I know that goes on, but it's shock. That was very shocking to me to hear all of that. I don't know if you guys all know who that is, but we should post that up somewhere. It's fascinating.
We should start having links to some cool YouTube videos that we just want people to look into.
Yeah,
I agree
I
with you.
just sort
That's
of
one.
can't get past that. Since I saw it, I wanted Richard to try to interview him, of course, and even Sasha Stone. He did.
Who interviewed him?
Who interviewed him?
Yeah.
Because I think Sasha's very deeply involved in it.
Ronald, I think his name is Ronald Bernard, and if you can Google him, and his first YouTube video is still the best, and it's translated into English subtitles. Very easy to get through. It's like 40 minutes, and he says, look, there's basically 8,000 people who are running this world, and they're bankers, and they are evil, and he really goes into detail, and he's very credible. I think he's very credible.
I think he is too.
Yeah.
I really do. And he tells the story of how he got lured into it and how it kind of made sense to him, and how hard it is to get out of it. And yeah, we should post that. I agree.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Next question through email.
Oh, so Domi knows what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Ronald Bernard, yeah. So, Drew, you're in the chat room, but I have one of your emails here. So, actually, I think 2 of your comments, yeah. And in fact, I think, we had an even longer one that was in the comments below the chat. And I don't even have that one. Drew.
We were saying to everyone before you got here, because you were like, am I posting too many things? No, we want you guys to post all over the site so it starts the dialogue with other people, because we can't always keep up. So we love it.
Yeah. No, you post good stuff.
Yeah.
So I got 2 here
Everybody
from Drew.
does. Everybody
I got 2 from you. So if I miss your big one, sorry, or you can try to type it in here. Drew says, I was wondering if you've ever discussed or would like to discuss Dr. Carla Turner and her various experiences. I'll skip the rest of this. Does anyone know what happened to her family after she died from an aggressive cancer?
I would love links to her presentations, Drew, if you have those. I've read one of her books, Richard.
I think only one of her lectures is available on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken.
I would love links to that.
I know the guy who hosted her for that, a man named Philadelphia named Robert Uris, I believe. I'll talk about Carla in just a second. Actually, let me just do this now. So, and Drew just says the activities she describes from his memory were strange and elusive in some respects, and had some physical evidence, but resembled not only possible ET activity, but possibly paranormal, which goes into Drew's other theory about one triggering the other by way of disruption to known reality. Would love to know your thoughts.
Ryan Stacy talked a little bit about that.
Yes, he did. He did. I'm a big fan of Carla Turner's work, and again, not to plug my own books, but actually, I'm going to show my volume 2 here. I'm just going to pull it off the shelf.
But I'm going to.
Yeah, why not? It's just. So let me put those back on here. This is volume 2 of UFOs in the National Security State. It's a big fat book, 638 pages. Hardest thing I ever wrote in my whole life. I hope that volume 3 will not be as hard as volume 2. Honestly, I truly hope that, because volume 2 is really, really difficult. But in some ways, I still think it was the best thing I ever did. Anyway, I've got a little section on Carla Turner in here, and a little picture of her. I'm just going to show it. Hell. Anyway, I don't know. Carla was, I can't find it right now. She was a PhD in English literature, I believe, in back in the 80s, and had her own experiences that got her interested, and ended up interviewing a lot of people. So she became not just an experiencer, but a researcher, and a very, very good researcher. And really was the first person to put out the idea of military abductions, because a number of the people that she interviewed seemed to have not just abductions with extraterrestrials, which some of them absolutely did, but there were definitely a number of them who had experiences with what appeared to be U.S. military or black budget type of totally human people. And so she developed a very significant theory about that. She had a couple of books on this, I think Into the Fringe. Her last one was called Masquerade of Angels. And there are Taken, of course, was her first big one. And there's one other I'm forgetting. They're all very good books. And I'm trying to ask what you think about Carla. Yeah, she did describe some paranormal type experiences, particularly Masquerade of Angels, if I'm not mistaken, which was, we read that one together.
Yeah, I think, wasn't there a swirling white light that showed up when they had a guest at the house, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had
It's
one little
been a
nitpick
while.
about Masquerade of Angels, I have to say, which was it relied on one particular witness, and I don't recall getting the idea that there was a heck of a lot of corroboration from him on his experiences. Maybe I'm wrong there.
I just can't remember.
I wondered, like, to what extent could some of this be explained by his particular, and I don't want to, like, stigmatize people who have experiences, but I really wondered if he had some kind of psychological issues going on that were causing this, and that may not be fair of me to do that. But even aside from that, I found it basically credible, and I think her work is very important.
And fascinating accounts. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely worth a read. I should read the other two books. I've only read the one that Richard's talking about, and the experiences of that man are incredible, even just to sort of digest and look for corroborative stories in the future,
One thing that Carla wrote about in one of her earlier books, and this is from her abductees that she worked with, was this idea of creating virtual reality simulations. She's doing this in the 1990s. She's writing about this stuff. That abductees were put into an environment where they were given a virtual reality simulation. I thought that was quite interesting. Her research is very important. I have no idea what's happened to her family after her death. I think she was survived by a husband. I believe she had children. I know there is a family of Carla Turner that's out there. They're kind of quietly sort of preserve her legacy, but I don't know. I've never gotten the idea that any of them are active in this field at all, and I've certainly never communicated with them. So, okay. So I'll leave that one behind. And
did you talk about this? And I was just reading. Did you talk about this?
Well, is there a connection? Does ET activity trigger paranormal activity? I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I think, yeah, probably.
I'm sure that's probably why you wanted more out of Skinwalker, right? That's something that they were kind of going into, that or appeared to be going into, and they didn't.
I have to admit, like, I'm not really comfortable even now with this little overlapping of paranormal with ET type stuff. I wish it weren't that I wish it weren't that difficult. But the reality.
You're having trouble with it? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, like, part of me wishes, like, for the old, like, easy, metal ships and aliens from another planet, but it doesn't behave. The phenomenon doesn't behave for me the way I would love for it to behave. And I think that this is a significant element of what's going on. Mm-hmm. It's another case of the UFO phenomenon just being way out ahead of us. Mm-hmm. It is our teacher. It really, and it teaches me, and it teaches all of us who follow it.
Mm-hmm. And so Ryan Stacy, who you may or may not have heard the interview that Richard did with him on KGRA, he was talking about, he was from MUFON Canada, and he was saying he just wished that they would investigate phenomena. So whatever is showing up, they investigate it equally.
Right.
And so they can sort of look at the data that way instead of rejecting the paranormal. We need to look at all of what's happening.
There's definitely kind of a line that some people draw between UFOs and paranormal, and it is an ongoing issue that pops up within the UFO field, and it's definitely an issue within MUFON. That's for sure. MUFON prides itself on scientific ufology, and so there's people in there that feel the whole paranormal connection doesn't belong, and there's others who disagree, and that's just the argument. I want to ask, Drew had one other question, which I think is good, and I just want to share with the group. You just asked about Men in Black. What are your thoughts on the MIB phenomenon? Having read Nick Redfern's books on the topic, including the WIB, Women in Black, which I've not read that, and considering the John Mack Mothman prophecies, do you think we are looking at more than one phenomenon and or organization? And this is Drew. He says, I wonder whether we are looking at an actual clandestine human organization designed to cover up or silence witnesses and monitor alien activity on Earth.
Total Men in Black.
as
I mean,
mentioned
like-
by the Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev,
The movie.
who funds this organization, who are the report to, or an additional other-worldly organization, given the strangeness of some of the encounters. They almost come across as naive and emotionally immature moderators in a virtual forum. Or 3 cosmic tricksters / demons. They seem to value an exchange of a seemingly meaningless object, like forms of some type of contractual bond or its novelty souvenir to them. I'm not sure I understand that
I don't
part
either,
too.
exactly.
But anyways, so I asked Nick this very question, and you know, I'm going to be guided by him, but it makes sense to me that Nick believed in the first 2 of these, so that there is an actual human clandestine group that is responsible for some of these, but that there is a definite non-human element to some of these MIB encounters. There's definitely, I think Drew puts it well, there's certain naivete and emotional immaturity in some of these encounters. And I don't know if they're alien human hybrids that just don't understand the human ways. That would make the most sense to me, like a kind of David Jacobs version of hybridization. That's what some of these MIBs are. I'm inclined to agree with that as a pretty good hypothesis. So I guess I'll just leave it at that. And you know, we did a Rochester UFO meetup last night. I gave a lecture, by the way. I'm going to post that lecture here probably tomorrow. But one of the people in the aftermath asked about the black-eyed children phenomenon, and my take on that, my quick take, is that this is possibly an example of hybrids as well. So, oh, and then last thing you asked, have I ever had any encounters myself or felt myself under surveillance, especially recently, any forms of electronic harassment? Not recently, but I've talked over time of the last more than a decade ago. I do think that I was being harassed. Absolutely, I do. Back in 03, 04, 05, 06, the early years that I broke in, no question, very little question in my mind that I was surveilled. My internet was monitored, my phones were monitored, white vans were outside in front of the house on a regular basis. All of that happened. Time Warner guy coming in to check the internet here, saying, "What the hell are you up to? Your line is..." He actually said this to me, "What are you up to?" And I said, "Look at the wall. You all my UFO books."
Do you remember what year that was?
That was like 02, 03.
I was just curious.
Early.
Yeah.
I had all kinds of internet issues back then. And I was on, you know, Roadrunner high-speed internet. And it ran, at times it ran like shit. And so I had to call Time Warner, and the guy had to climb the telephone pole in the backyard. And he came back, and that's when he said, "I don't know what you are into, man." But he couldn't even tell me. He had to call his bosses, and they fixed the problem, but he never told me actually what was going on.
And then I sometimes tell people this: when did this happen? His laptop was taken right out of the living room with his dog was in the living room, and his son was upstairs, and his laptop was taken right out of the house.
I had a stolen laptop.
With the dog beside it. I don't understand.
Less than 2 years ago. I never told anyone about this. I did not want to make a big thing out of it, and like people getting paranoid, like, "Oh my God, Richard Dolan." CIA stole his laptop. I don't know who took my laptop. It could have just been stolen by an asshole neighbor. It does happen, but I don't. The truth is, I don't know who stole my laptop.
Yeah, it either had to be someone who really knows your dog well, or something else. I mean, I don't know, but my mom didn't think that was so benign.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I have to find out, like, people who, like, Tracy's mom's a wonderful lady, like the archetypal nice Canadian mom, like ultra polite, super nice. And I think, like, she's into what we do now, but I think it was a little bit of a jolt at first, I think.
Well, no, I mean, I've been in this for a really long time. So I've been working on her for a long time. So she's not bad, but I mean, you know, when you're in my life, I think she was a little bit concerned because you're really into a lot of the conspiracy stuff as well, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then
I
at the
understand.
I think it was at the beginning, maybe when your laptop got stolen.
Yes, that
and
was pretty early.
that worried her, and then we did have some strange stuff going on with our phones, if you recall, every time we talked to each other.
That is true when we were long distance. Absolutely.
Yeah, I started trying to record the strange sounds. It sounded like a train in the background.
That's right. I'm glad that
remember?
you reminded me of this.
And
So
a whole bunch of
there are
other things.
suspicious things.
So there was stuff like that as well.
So who the hell knows?
That's
I mean,
all I
I
remember.
assume, I've always assumed that surveillance is
Mom,
going on.
that's right.
You have to in the age we live in. So look, I just want to say this. It's 12 minutes after the hour. We have 45 minutes before we run out of time to get a bottle of wine. We are getting a bottle of wine tonight.
When we do a show, it's nice to have a glass of
We
wine.
have to do this. And in fact, it's working because there's one more major question that I've saved.
Yes, and I just want to tell you, David is here. Welcome, David. Welcome, everyone. I know we said that.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to make sure everyone is welcomed. David, so you...
Oh, watch Chappie this weekend.
That was you.
Second person in 2 days.
No, that was him.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, David. We will. Last question. By the way, if you've missed most of this live stream, please do not worry. We're going to post this on our site. No problem. You'll have access to the entire thing.
The cool thing is the chat will be there too for people who, you guys have already seen this, but for the people who are watching the replay, the chat is automatically going to be in there.
It will be there. I have to make it available. We're going to get our booze first. Then I'm going to come back and I'll upload this. So it'll be like an hour later. Just please hang on. Okay. And then it'll be available. So last question is from Kirsten. I don't know if this is a Kirsten or just a very interesting thing. I just want to read a little bit of this. This was an email. Hi, Richard and Tracy. Watch your latest intelligent disclosure on the secret space program. This was a couple of weeks ago. Thank you. I really appreciate your information, much of which I had not heard before. The thing that she mentioned that I love, she is interested in this because she had her grandfather had worked as an engineer for Lockheed Martin from the mid-50s to the mid-80s in California, doing some very top secret stuff. Kirsten, if you are watching this or will watch this, I will definitely want to ask you at some point if you know anything about this at all. I'm always interested.
I totally remember who you are from Contact in the Desert.
We met her?
Yes.
Did I meet her?
You did.
I'm sorry that I don't remember.
It was when you stayed for the late night thing, and she didn't stay for that part, but she was stayed just afterwards asking questions. So.
Oh yeah, I did a mini conference after that. Anyway, she's mentioning, this is why I mentioned it. She said, I woke up to the tweet with a link to Facebook from Corey Good's website, the Sphere Being Alliance. And it refers to the latest whistleblower at Gaia, Jason Rice. If you've been following the Gaia stuff, he's the latest one as a current secret space program insider.
I just want to start by saying, when you sent us this email, I had a quick read through it right away, as I do sometimes. And you sent this, and then that night or the next day was when the whole Gaia thing broke out with us, that they were
the intellectual property over
yes,
trademarking the word disclosure.
The word disclosure. And then people at Gaia let us know that this, exactly what you were quoting here, was all about the new insider. It was all about the fight, essentially, between Gaia and Corey Good.
Yeah.
And them trademarking each other, trademarking all these words.
Well, let me just, I'm going to read a little bit what she writes here so that people can understand this. But yeah, exactly. So what Corey Good's Facebook page had put out was that SSP insiders versus SSP LARPers. And if you know what a LARPer is, it's like assuming the identity, faking it, and so on. So essentially what he's saying here is, he says, nearly 2 years ago, I warned the public that groups pushing a partial disclosure narrative would first attempt to discredit me in a smear campaign and then attempt to super soldier the SSP topic by flooding the community with LARPers, that is live action role players. And he's essentially saying that the Jason Rice alleged testimony is, I guess he's saying it's a form of LARPing, that it's fake, it's not true. We must say no to SSP LARPers and yes to full disclosure, and so forth. What Tracy said, I think, is dead on right. So what's going on here? So Corey Good and David Wilcock basically issued their own burn notice to Gaia a couple of months ago now. And we all know about this. Gaia, you know, Corey and David were the biggest programs on Gaia by far. And you have to understand there's a lot of money going on here, a lot of money at stake. It's always about money. And so now, you know, I don't know specifically why David and Corey have left Gaia and basically left it in a trail of blood behind them, basically burning every possible bridge imaginable. But I'm going to just go on the assumption that it's over money and that they may see better opportunities to make money on their own or in some other capacity without Gaia, which would require them to get out of whatever contract they have and whatever. Call it Luciferian, call it whatever. So, but now the issue, the real fight is over, you know, Gaia using those shows and continuing to use their shows. Who has the rights to those programs? And Corey Good started trademarking the phrase secret space program and trademarking a bunch of other phrases. I don't know what else is trademark. I've only been told this.
It was at least 10 things.
At least 10 other things. And that Gaia, in response to that, attempted to trademark the word disclosure, and that's when the whole community blew up at it. And Tracy, in fact, was in major communication with some higher ups at Gaia. Good for you, by the way, for doing that and getting a lot of genuine information out. Gaia, as a result of that, partly, I think, as a result of your conversation, I think you're allowed to take a little bit of quiet credit for this. Gaia withdrew their attempt to trademark the word disclosure. Anyway, the point is, I think what's going on here is this is a...
Yeah, and they had no plans to come after the UFO community. That was, they told us that. It was absolutely nothing to do with anyone else. They didn't want to impede the UFO movement or the disclosure movement in any way.
Yeah, they're trying to protect their shows that had the word disclosure, cosmic disclosure and whatever disclosure. So that was the whole thing. So this is a trademark war and a legal battle that Gaia is having with David Wilcock and Corey Good over the episodes they've done. And that's the whole thing. And in my view, that's exactly what was behind Corey Good's statement about watch out for these LARPers, discredit Jason Rice. I don't know the first thing about Jason Rice. I'm going to have to look into this. I'm sure it's like sigh, eye roll, do it again. The one thing that I've learned, though, from Sid we have a friend in Gaia named Sid Goldberg. Sid produced my Gaia shows. Sid's been a friend of Tracy. He's a friend of mine. And he works at Gaia. He knows everyone. He's our main inside person that we talk to. And according to Sid, Jason Rice took a polygraph. Something Corey Good refused to do. And I know this for a fact. Sid told me this explicitly. And it always bugged him that Corey would not take a polygraph. Look, polygraphs aren't a sure thing, and they're not admissible in a court of law, and everyone knows that. But there is a certain power to taking a polygraph and passing a poly. And, you know, I don't know the nature of the poly. I don't know the questions that were asked. I would like to know. Because I do know that polygraph tests can be just very, like, cut and dry and, like, 1 or 2 questions, and that's it. They're not these involved tests that a lot of people think. It's like 1 or 2 questions often, and you're in and you're out. So I don't know how much you can really gauge from that.
I just want to interject and say, of all the people who have shows on Gaia, if you had a contract with a company like Gaia or Netflix, and you'd already signed the contract, you already had your show going, and then they said to you and to some of the other people, Greer, who else? Greg Braden's on there. I would like you to take a polygraph about your work in general. I just want to see. Do you think that Graham Hancock, and I know he's not on. Oh yeah, he is on there.
You wouldn't need to.
Do you think? Yeah, but if they did, do you think that would offend you, or you would be like, sure, no problem. I don't understand why you're doing it, but.
Well, I would say common sense would dictate. Like Corey Good, like in the real world, like if you, like normal, psychologically normal people. Let's say like you went to Mars. Like, let's say like you really went to Mars, like seriously, okay? So you being a psychologically sound person would realize
Yeah, this is hard for other people to
that-
believe. I would
right.
agree to do it. Yeah.
So of course you would. Like,
Yeah.
and this is the problem. Like, I had a big argument years ago with Andrew Basiago, who got so mad at me because I questioned his story about having gone to Mars, and like a normal psychological reaction would be, yeah, I kind of get why you don't believe me.
Mhm.
Like that's a normal thing, and to be offended that people don't believe you, to me, is a sign of a problem. So I think he should have taken a poly.
Mhm.
I think Gaia wanted him to take. It would have certainly strengthened his, standing
For sure.
had
Yeah, I
he
agree.
taken it and passed it.
Mhm.
But he refused to do it. So
Yeah.
that's life. I mean, this is, and again, polygraphs aren't. I realize they can be beaten in various ways, but I'm told that they are becoming better and better. And I don't know the technology
either.
of a polygraph. The current technology, I don't understand how they do it, but
Just
anyway.
about every psychology student, I think, we all learn about polygraphs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I remember in basic psychology.
So do you think we should wrap this up, my dear? Is there more down here?
Probably. Drew just added in there, I'd love to hear your thoughts about Stephen Greer. And a lot of people say that in the Tuesday night chats. Constantly, people are asking that.
Maybe another
I'm sure
time.
You guys
I will say this. I'm really good at many things. One is embarrassing Tracy in public places. I have a real gift for that. I have like a genius for embarrassing Tracy. So
I don't want to say why, but maybe another time.
So, but one thing is, we did we're in Contact in the Desert a couple of years ago.
Yes, we were. Yeah, that's
crap. So like, people surrounded me. This is outside, and like, what do you think about Stephen Greer? And I probably said more than I should have said. And I wasn't even mean. Was I mean? Was I harsh? I can't remember what I said.
Yeah, you were super harsh, actually.
Okay, well, there you go.
If you've ever been around him at a conference, I'm sure a lot of you have, people will needle him with comments, to get him going. And if he grabs onto that train, he starts telling the 50 people around. And so it was one of these situations, and he just got a little too passionate and crazy talking about Greer. I had to take him aside after. I'm like, okay, those are more like private conversations.
You got to use your indoor voice. The thing is, I always will give him credit for a couple of things. He wrote one of the best books. I have to say this. I mean, I have to, and then not Hidden Truth, Forbidden Reality, whatever. That's a horrible book. But Disclosure, just Disclosure. That's a truly great book. And what he did, and he did this is almost 20 years ago, he gathered together some incredible witnesses who had a genuinely important story to tell. And there are many of them. And I continue to consider that one of the best contributions, I have to say this, to really getting into the UFO cover-up. So that alone is a very important thing. And I will always at least give him partial props for the 2001 press conference. A lot went wrong with that, in my opinion. But the fact
broke some new ground.
The fact that he did it at all is important. Other things about him, I think, are very deeply problematic. And I don't consider him my enemy. I don't hate him. I see him as complex, like we're all complex, but I do see the problems with a lot of what he does. I just do.
I was just curious, have any of you guys seen the movie, what was his movie called? The one that just came
Unacknowledged, out. I think.
Yes. Yeah. Have any of you guys seen that? We haven't seen it yet.
I'm embarrassed. I've actually boycotted it.
He has. I want to see it. But
it's on Netflix. We're going to have to see it soon. I'm just like...
I'm just wondering if any of you have seen it.
Well, they're on a delay.
I know, it's a delay. But
maybe...
It's not that big of a delay. Terrible, huh?
Oh, Drew says terrible.
That's your review. Okay.
Okay. You see, this is my fear. Like, I'm going to lose 2 hours of my life and I'll never get it back.
Oh,
so.
come on.
That's how I feel. So, but we'll probably do it. I'll take notes. He says just gives nothing new at all. Okay.
Yeah, but is it good for newbies? You know, sometimes some of these
Oh,
things
sorry.
are made and they're good bridges for people who are skeptics to at least take one step into the water. So even though for some of us it would be boring because it's old stuff, sometimes it's better for that purpose.
Yeah.
Have seen it, can't remember it. Well, that's not good.
not a good sign, Domi. Not a good sign. Okay. Good for newbies. Okay, cool.
Okay.
David liked it. A little melodramatic at times. All right.
Oh, well, he is, right?
Yeah. So we'll go. We'll do Unforgiven. Maybe we'll give a private review. Yeah, how about that?
Okay. I'd love to make a page too for because we were
got to wrap this up soon.
David was talking about Chappie, and then you guys were talking about another one that we need to see, Altered Carbon, and do
our little takes on various things that we watch.
No, I'd love to have a page where we just put a whole bunch of movies and shows that cover these topics, because some people love to explore it, like I do. I love to explore it through science fiction.
All right. Well, we got to figure out how to create that on the site, but we can do that. Create a new page, I guess.
Okay.
We can do it.
So,
we'll do it.
Yes. That was really fun. So I love this new format. Actually, this is so much better for us. The chat in our own chat room on our own site. That's
do you realize what every time we did this in the past, the prep time was probably 2 hours just getting the technical stuff right. It was maddening. I'm not talking about the live public live streams on YouTube, which we do. Those are actually easier, or were easier, because in the past we were trying to migrate this video into our website in the chat room, and it was
we lost half a
such
day
an
most times
incredible
trying to
hassle.
prepare for that. I just want to say, Kiakra, yeah, it was good. She was talking about the movie. Yeah, it was good for me as a newbie and sent me digging for more info and led me to better researchers.
Okay, fair enough.
That's fair.
Yeah. And honestly, here's the thing about Stephen Greer. I'll listen to him in certain contexts, and I will say to myself, yes, exactly true, very good. Like, he says a number of things that are quite accurate and quite true. And he does know a great deal. Like, I absolutely respect that. There's just a certain attitude that he brings to the field that I do not agree with. And I don't like people who turn themselves into messiahs. He's definitely done that. He's not the only one, but he does that. And I think primarily this mania with turning all extraterrestrials into benevolent entities. I just feel there's something deeply wrong about that. And I don't understand why he consistently and insistently goes down that road. Like, they're all good. All bad experiences are creations of the U.S. deep black budget. Like, for example, he talks about programmable life forms. Like, all grays, in his opinion, are creations of the U.S. deep black budget group, and they're called programmable life forms. And I'm like, where the hell do you get this? Like, how can I investigate this? There's no opportunity for follow-up, and I have never heard any hint of this in any other context. And in fact, a great deal of testimony that directly contradicts what he's saying. He brings these statements out. They're all by themselves, totally isolated. And I just ask myself, how do you justify this? How can you help other researchers corroborate what you're saying? And you get nothing, of course. It's all secret sources. And I just feel intrinsically when researchers do that, and Stephen Greer is not the only one who's done it, but when they say, trust me, I have special sources, and I'm here now to give you the information you have to get only through me. That's bullshit, because what that does is that puts the researcher at a level higher than you. And anytime a researcher puts themselves at a level higher than you and makes them the key person, we should all have our skeptic cap on at that moment, because there's something wrong there. In my work, there have been a couple of times that I've talked to a few people, like my little insiders, but 99% of what I put out there, you have the capability of investigating my own sources, because I try to put them out there. That's it. The only thing that I do about my research is I gather things together for other people, and then you critique what I do. And that's how I think it should be. And it doesn't mean that there aren't clandestine activities, and this field is complex in that way. There are insiders, but you got to be careful with that stuff. And when you start turning yourself into the one indispensable person, that to me is a sure sign of a problem. So should we wrap it up? We got to get our bottle of wine.
Yeah, we do.
We're running out of time here.
All right. These guys were just in here saying that they thought this was really fun. It was nice because it was such a small group. One day there's going to be tons of people, but it's just us. So
another one. David, is this one here? I want to find someone exploring a metamaterial equivalent of the Moray valve. Okay, now I've got to do more research, like a cascading serial harmonic metamaterial in layers that would do the same thing as old-fashioned tubes. That's pretty cool. I think, and then Greg Phillips. Hey, Richard and Tracy, new member.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Greg. Love the content. Huge fan of your work. Random question. Can you offer some insights on what's the deal with John Alexander? Is he disinfected?
Oh, okay. You want to do that now or you want to do that next time? That could be number one.
I'll have to do that again, but
John Alexander is a fun one to talk about.
I've had a lot of interactions with John over the years. In fact, I had a radio debate with him. It's not anywhere on the web.
We were going to look for it.
I have a copy of it. I should post it. I should post it.
We can post it on the member site.
Back in 2011.
Do you think he's disinformation? Just quick, what do you think?
I do, yes. I think because I don't think he's dumb. So therefore, I think because the main thing about John Alexander, he's in the U.S. military, he's retired. He says, look, there's a UFO phenomenon. He's very into it. He knows a lot about it. He says there's no cover-up. I know because I've looked, he says. And he actually did look. I have a backstory on this, but look, allow me to do this.
Yeah, we'll have to do it another time.
Promise I will get back to it.
Definitely bring up John Alexander next time because it's a fun. There's lots of stories in there. It's a great one.
Domi quoted me. Thank you, Dr. John Alexander's Ufology's Boogeyman. Yeah, I have a. I did say that. It's a little YouTube quote. It's on YouTube. He's the boogeyman. Everyone loves to be afraid of him.
Ted, sorry we didn't get to your question about would there ever be a partnership with Whitley and Linda and Richard, and that would be cool. That's complicated. All of them are so busy.
We can talk with it.
Yeah,
talk about
and they're all friends, so maybe in the future.
David Attardi saying about metamaterials. Just want to say, I would like to come back and talk about the metamaterial elements, metamaterials that Hal Putoff was discussing. I know I did a live stream publicly a couple of months ago on this, but I'd like to come back to it. That's really important stuff, and we definitely will be revisiting that.
Okay, I want to just say, because you said you'll bring it up in the next intelligence disclosure. If you do it on a Tuesday, you guys have seen the chat is freaking crazy. It is so hard for me to keep track of which are our members in there. So what?
I was just checking your thing there.
Oh, okay. So if I don't see it and those guys don't see it, sorry about that. But you can always get it here or send it through email or sorry we didn't get to all the emails, but I just want you guys to know there are so many emails just from our members. We're having trouble getting through them all. So we're doing our best.
I wrote back to a number of you today personally, just quick little reply in some cases, but
you don't have to do a super chat.
We do go through them. Okay. We're gonna go. I'm gonna post. We'll post this in about an hour or so to the site, so you'll be able to review the whole thing. I think I may edit out the first 15 minutes of like the room just being empty.
Maybe something
I think
will
I can
move
do
sometime if you do.
If I don't know how to edit that out through YouTube, then you'll just have the first 15 minutes of empty space, and you can just scroll ahead. Anyway, it's been a tremendous fun.
Yeah, I love this small group too. This is really neat, and obviously it's me typing every time because he's talking to you. So
yeah, thank you everyone. It's been a real pleasure. We really appreciate all of you, and it's nice feeling like there's this nice community that's growing here.
Yeah, it's really
a really good feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, have a very good evening.
All right,
we'll be back
with
you later.
Good night.
Bye now.